welcome to episode 30 of the Light on Leeds podcast. This week, Anne Jones from Cards or Die came along to tell me all about the social events she organises around playing board games. Have a listen. On this episode of Light on Leeds, I'm welcoming Anne Jones from Cards or Die. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming.
That's all right.
So Anne, I know you from Twitter, and I see you tweeting all the time about your board game evenings, is it that you do, or is it everything?
A whole mixture of stuff. So I do board game evenings, and then I also do I do afternoons at cafes and some pubs and things for families, and then I also do, I've got a few parties booked in. So I've got someone's booked a family gathering with me, which is lowest age is 26, highest is I think 40, and then I've also got a smaller booking which is a children's party, but they're 9 and there's only 4 of them going. It sounds lovely. Yeah. So I'm going to teach them some board games and kind of hang out with them. Wow. So a real mixture of stuff.
How did you get started with it?
So before I started the business, I was a teacher. I taught English at secondary school, and then I was looking for a way out really of teaching, because it's no secret it's quite a stressful kind of environment, and I have anxiety and depression, so that was being made much worse by teaching. Really, it was just exacerbating it. Everything was feeding into it, and so I decided that I needed to perhaps leave. And I looked at various things, and one of the things that I noticed was that board game cafes were kind of springing up in different places. Yeah, and board games are something that I love. So I kind of thought, I wonder if I could open a board games cafe. And I looked at it and I considered it, but then it's quite a commitment having the overheads of running a business, and I felt like it would be more running a cafe. Do you know what I mean? You'd get bogged down by the logistics of it, and actually what I wanted to do was play games with people and talk to people and meet people. And I thought, actually, it would be better if I did it as like a pop-up. Yeah. So the original idea was I would go into bars and restaurants, bars and cafes and things, and hold board games nights, and that way people could get together and play some games. I could teach them some new games, and that's pretty much what I do. But it kind of spiraled out from there. So I've done some corporate training with board games. I also made a game for a company they're a charity actually, to use for training, and I spoke to them a few weeks ago just to check in really, and they've been using it and they found it really, really good, really useful for training staff. So that was quite an interesting one, because that was in social prescribing, the game, which is not something I knew anything about, and it was the whole process was really good fun, because I got to I went in and sat with a couple of their volunteers, and they told me loads about what they do. And then I sat with someone else and they told me more information, and I took all that information away and then designed a game, because what they wanted was a game that would teach new staff the things that they had told me. And I was really pleased with what I'd come up with, but then the fact that they are then still using it, means it's working, and that's exactly what I wanted. Because obviously it was a charity and it was the first one I'd done, so I did it as a charitable, I'll make it for you, because it might not work. You don't want to be like, don't pay me because it might not work.
Was it the first time you'd ever been asked to do anything like that?
Yeah. So that was brilliant, because actually now I know it does work. And the idea that I'd thought, well, because it's all right paying for someone to come in and deliver training, but if you're going to have that outlay all the time, actually, if you pay for me to design a board game, for instance, and then you're going to reuse it, then it's over time you're getting the money back, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? By not getting people in. So that was the theory, and I'm glad that that's kind of worked. So
excellent.
So that's good. Yeah.
So have you always loved board games since you were little?
Yeah, since I was really little. Yeah.
What were your favourites, do you think?
So I really liked. We had this one where it was clowns that fitted together like a jigsaw, but you had to roll the right number dice to get a piece of the clown. Yeah. And I remember really liking that one. I think partly though because my mum would play that with me. My mum was funny really, because she would only play certain games if she perceived anything as silly or pointless. Mm-hmm. then she wouldn't play it.
So she sort of, it had to have sort of like an educational...
I think so, because I suspect the reason that she liked the clown one was because it had numbers and I was learning my numbers, I suspect.
Yeah.
Although she would always play picture lotto with like me, and then my set of it she played with my children as well as they were growing up. So it was really nice. But yeah, all sorts really. And I used to play Escape from Atlantis. Do you remember that one?
I know that one. I think I might have heard of it.
So yeah, probably me whittering on about it on Twitter. So it's got like plastic kind of island pieces, and each, I'm doing it with my hands. That's very podcast friendly. Drawing an island with my hands. And each turn, you turn over an island piece, and it'll have on it like, say it'll have a picture of a shark or an octopus, and then you put that piece on the board. And then you spin this spinner, and that tells you how many spaces you can move, like the sea monster or the octopus or whatever.
Brilliant.
And then you can tip up people's boats and you can eat people. And like,
sounds excellent.
It's brilliant. Yeah, it's really good. I still love it. They've remade it. They've done a more modern version, which is good. It's very, very similar. They've made it slightly different, but it's very similar. But I still like the old plastic kind of with the swirler.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Well, it's like when they sort of modernised Monopoly and also the Game of Life.
Yeah.
With like the card machine things. I like the physical money.
Yeah.
I'm old school.
Yeah. I like the tactile
Yeah.
nature of board games. So if there's something that you can like count out or touch, you know, that makes it better,
I think so as well. We used to have this brilliant game. It wasn't so much a board game. I don't think it had a board game element. But I used to play it with my sisters and we absolutely loved it. And it was called, Fear something?
Was it Atmosphere?
Atmosphere.
Does it have a video?
Goodness. Yeah.
Oh
it
my
was
God.
so good. And then there's a bit where in the video that he sort of said, come closer. And it was your turn. You had to go to the screen and then he would shout in your face. And we all just thought it was amazing. Really freaked ourselves out playing it, but we really loved it.
Amazing.
That was a great one.
Yeah.
So where do you find out about new board games? Where do you sort of look? Are you having to constantly research?
So I tend to see stuff like on Twitter. I was on Instagram, and that was quite a good source actually. But just from keeping an eye out on this, you know, some board game designers I kind of keep an eye out on, and I keep an eye on Kickstarter.
So of course, because you'll see all brand new things coming up on there.
Yeah. So that's always an interesting source of like unusual things. And then also like game shops, like Travelling Man in town is good for new quirky things. And Games Crusade over in Harrogate, I go there a lot. Because her shop's really good because she has everything out.
Not everything. You can actually see it.
She has loads out on the side, yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of dangerous, but I go in for one thing. I went in specifically for something one time. She was very patiently explaining how to play it to me. And meanwhile, I'd turned round and there was something out on the side with dice. And I was like rolling the dice and moving bits. Like a child. Bless her, she kind of stopped. She was like, would you like me to show you that one instead? I was like, oh, sorry.
Actually, yeah.
Wandered off while you talk. How rude. But it's because they're all out. Yeah. And they're just there and you're like, oh, let's play with that. Yeah. So that's a great shop, but a bit dangerous.
Do you think there's something... Do you think there's something about people like you to sit together and play games, and that's why, I mean, you seem to be doing really well. You're always tweeting about amazing things that you're doing and places that you're going to do board games. It seems to be like increasingly popular.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's one of those things that kind of spans all ages, doesn't it? I think there's lots of elements that make it attractive. I think one of them is being able to sit with people and be kind of, you know, mindful and in the moment and kind of connecting with people and not on your phone and not worrying about work or worrying about stuff. You know, I had someone come to one of my events last week and they were saying that they were going through a bit of a tough time, and actually they'd had a really lovely evening because for parts of the evening they'd kind of forgotten about what was going on. Because, of course, you're concentrating, aren't you? You're concentrating and you're thinking what I'm going to do for my next go and what are you doing and why are you doing that? And so it's kind of absorbing, which is good. Yeah, and I think for a lot of people it's tied up with childhood memories, isn't it? That,
definitely.
You know, I think most people have played games of some sort with their parents or with siblings, and I think, you know, most people have some kind of fond reminiscence of a game, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I have a wardrobe upstairs that's just got hundreds of games in,
Yeah.
and then if there's ever like a family gathering or anything, it's a lovely thing to get out.
It
And like
is,
you say, like spans all ages.
Yeah,
usually there's a game that you can play with anybody of any age, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, as long as you kind of, you can kind of adapt things as well, can't you? I'm never that rigid about the rules. So I'm always a bit like, you know, if there's a family event and kids pick something up and it's too hard for them, it's like, this is how you're meant to play it, but just have a play with the pieces. Do you know what I mean? Just, there's a game called Carcassonne, which someone was saying is their children used to play with when they were very little, and they used to just play it almost like a kind of pretend game.
Yeah.
Because it's got like a map, not a map, like a landscape printed on it, and when you play you have to match up, so you put a city with a city or grass with grass, and their children used to just kind of play making a big city and then putting the people in it, and I just think that's fine though, isn't it? You're still playing a game, you're still playing with it
and using imagination.
You know, yeah.
I think the hardest thing for me with games is, the worst thing is when it's probably because you do it at the wrong time. So say at Christmas and you've got a few people around, you might have had a few drinks and you've not checked the game beforehand. The worst thing is when you read instructions and they're just too much.
Yeah.
You know, that can be really off-putting, can't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's one of the things that I've kind of focused on as something I can offer, because I can teach any of the games.
Yeah, of course.
You don't need to get bogged down. Yeah, and the other thing people do is they'll get into a kind of no, that's not right, and they just call me over. They're like, shout me over. Right, he says this and I'm saying that, and you're like, yeah, you're wrong. Like, sorry. I think
that's lovely.
Yeah, but it's good because then it kind of, you don't have to have that.
Yeah.
You don't have to read them, and then even afterwards, if you forget what I've said, you can just shout me over and I'll go, no. Or yes. So
if anybody
good.
listening wanted to get involved with any of your events, what have you got sort of regularly?
So my regular ones are first Wednesday I'm at the Old King's Arms in Horsforth, and that's been a really busy one. That's been really nice. And then second Tuesday, I'm trying to do them in order, that's why I'm aiming. Second Tuesday of the month I'm at the Gatehouse Cafe at the Abbey House Museum.
Oh, lovely.
And that's a free one, which is, and that's one I do for free as well, actually, because it's a mental health one that I do with Lisa Bourne, who works for Time to Change. So yeah, that's a really nice one. That's quite a little group. We only get like 5 or 6 people, but it's always really nice. And we're always encouraging people to come to that, even if you don't want to play a game, if you just want to hang out somewhere quiet for an hour and a half and just have a bit of space. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to play, and you don't have to talk about anything you don't want to talk about. It's really relaxed. It's really nice. So that's that one. And then I do last Wednesday of the month I'm at the Myrtle Tavern in Meanwood.
Okay.
And that's a really nice one as well. That's good. I'm going to get my diary out and give in.
No worries.
I've just had some more booking as well, which is really exciting.
I bet.
Yeah. I've got Butlers. You know, at Kirkstall Forge, there's a cafe on the bottom level.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, it's really nice, really big as well. And they do events there. So I'm doing one there tonight, and then hopefully that'll be the last Friday of the month. But we're just going to see how that goes.
Yeah.
And then I know I've forgotten people, which is terrible. King's Arms, the
You have a
Myrtle.
website, don't you? That
I do have a website with everything. Oh, Hyde Park Book Club.
Oh, yeah.
I fancy forgetting them. So that's the third, usually the third Sunday of the month, but sometimes it moves. But that's when that usually is. And again, that's a really nice one, really friendly. All of them are really friendly, and you get a nice mix of people. I'm trying to get more solo players to come, people to come on their own, to encourage more people. Because I know that's hard for people. But I think as well, it's kind of a good thing about board games, because you can join in, you know, with a group, and you've got like a common focus. So it's not like going into a pub and sitting with a group of strangers.
Yeah, you've got you've got a role that you're going to be involved in, and that must help to some extent.
Yeah, and you've got like something that you're all doing together and you're talking about, which is good. And then I've just been booked into the Holbeck.
Oh, lovely. I love the Holbeck.
Yeah, I'd not been before, but
it's amazing.
Really lovely.
Yeah, it's a great place. We'll get some lovely people there.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so the first one is the 13th of April, Easter Monday. And then from September, we're going to do some Saturdays there.
Oh, excellent. Well, I'll definitely come along to the one at the Holbeck.
Awesome.
It's just up the street for me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then I've got others that are a bit more intermittent. So normally at half term, I do one at Keeper's Cafe on Otley Old Road, which is they're a charity. And they closely linked to my son's school, the Lighthouse School. So which is so they're an autism charity, and their focus is about it's called Lighthouse Future Trust. And their focus is about getting young people supported and into work.
Oh, lovely.
You know, who want to, autistic people. And that's kind of close to my heart, do you know what I mean, that charity. So I like to support them as much as I can.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And that's always quite a busy one, but that's a family one, so that's a bit different. And then I also do one over in Mrs. Smith's in Harrogate. But again, that's kind of regular, but not as frequent as the others.
Right.
So it kind of depends when that is. But yeah, everything's on the website, so you can look on the website. But yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, and also I'll put links to everything in the podcast notes so that people can find out how they can get involved.
Yeah, definitely.
So out of all the games that you must see millions of games. Do you have particular ones that are really close to your heart?
Yeah, I think so. Like Escape from Atlantis.
Yeah.
I love that one, and I still love it. I still play it. And then I'm quite bad for I do this with everything, like records, everything. So I get a new thing and I just do that over and over and over again. So at the moment, I got Dominion for my birthday and Splendour for Christmas. And so basically I'm just playing those over and over again at any opportunity.
I've not heard of either of those.
Yeah, so Dominion is, they've both been around a little while, but Dominion is one where you, it's called a deck builder, so you're kind of, you've got cards in your hand, and then you're drawing more cards into your hand to make your hand kind of stronger over time. And it's, you're kind of trying to mess up the other person, you're trying to buy properties, basically these three types of property, like land, and you do that by collecting cards into your hand. So it's good. I like it. And the good thing about it is the box comes with loads of different cards, and for each game you need 10 decks. So it feels almost like endless possibilities, because the different combinations mean you have to make different decisions about what you're going to collect. So it's really nice. And Splendour is you've got jewels, and you're collecting jewels and buying more jewels, and it's just the first to 15 points. So it's really simple.
But you really enjoy it.
But it's, I quite like games where there aren't loads and loads of rules.
Yeah.
Like for me to play, because there are loads of games where there's 3 phases to your turn, and then there's this and that. And I do like those games, but I have to be in the right mood for them.
Yeah, I can imagine, because they take a lot of concentration.
Yeah, and often those sorts of games take a couple of hours, or, and they've got plenty of those that I do really enjoy. But often I just want something where you kind of know what you're doing, but it still requires enough thought. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
Because I think those games are very clever as well, where there's you say to someone, oh, these are the rules. It's dead easy. There's one called Abalone, and you're just pushing marbles, and you have to push, I think it's 5 of the other person's marbles off the board. I'll have said the wrong number. Numbers is my downfall. That's where I always have to check in the book and go, hang on, it's this many. And you push their marbles off the board. And so that's it, really. And there are a couple of rules about how many you can push. But it's really easy. Mm-hmm. But it's so tactical, because obviously everything you do depends on what the other person has just done.
Yeah.
So it's really it requires a lot of thought. But it's nice because you can go, off you go. And you can start playing it immediately. You don't need to be reading and checking and double checking. But everything you do is important in that game. So you can't mess it up. You know what I mean? So I like games like that.
I bet it's really great for people who come to your events, because you get to sort of try out a game before you buy it.
Exactly.
And work out if it's the kind of thing that you would like.
Yeah.
And if
And
it's
you're going to
up
play it again and again.
Yeah,
it's
exactly,
worth it.
yeah.
Because some games are quite a lot of money as well, aren't they? And
Yeah,
so,
they can be, yeah. Yeah, because I always try and get... My son's 21 now, but I still try and buy one board game a year.
Yeah.
Because I just think it's a really lovely thing to get out and play, especially over that Christmas period. But yeah, they can be really expensive.
Yeah.
Although second-hand shops are quite good for...
oh, definitely.
As long as you get all the pieces.
Yeah, that's true, actually. I've got quite a few from charity shops. And I think as well, even if they've not got all the pieces, if it's something that comes up a lot, I've got like loads of copies of Connect 4 simply because I know that the pieces are going to get lost.
Yeah.
And one of them that I bought randomly, it was all yellow pieces. So it was complete. Like, it looked complete when you opened it. It was really tidily packed away. And it was like, what? Just don't understand.
Someone somewhere's got one which is red.
Like, how do you... What? So it's like, okay, so it's all right if anyone loses any yellow pieces. That's fine. You just don't lose any reds.
Do you ever get people who come along and they're like quite sore losers?
Not really. Not really. I think I tend to keep an eye on people. So I kind of try and, if I can see there's a bit of tension, I try and diffuse that a little bit.
Do you think you got that skill from being a teacher?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, and I think I can spot it brewing as well from a distance. Like, I'll just get over there and intervene. But not that anyone's been about to, have a massive fight or anything.
But you can start seeing it brewing.
You can see it brewing, you can hear the tones of voice a bit, and you think, oh, that's gone a bit serious over there. So, yeah, no one's had a massive rout. I've had people just be a bit fed up because they're losing.
Yeah.
But then generally what I try and do is talk to them, because sometimes what you get is, particularly with maybe a couple, you'll get two people and one of them is maybe really good at word games and the other one really isn't. And so the one that's really good at word games, though, is perhaps the one that's a bit more forceful. So like, oh, we're going to play this, and then next we're going to play that. And you can see that the other person is like, oh, I'm just going to lose.
Yeah.
Oh, and I've lost.
Oh.
So then you can chat to them and be like, well, what kind of things do you like? And so then you can suggest a game where they've got a better chance of winning.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Or something that's more down to luck as well.
Yeah.
So that at least they're in with a chance. It's like, you can play this and maybe you'll win. Because it is disheartening if you lose all the time.
Of course it is.
It's hard not to get fed up about that, really.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, because I always understand that with children as well. And you think, because some people are very, very competitive. And they, like, I've always felt like, I know it's a little bit controversial, but I think you should let children win a little bit.
Yeah.
Because some people are like, oh, you shouldn't let them win, it's bad for them. I'm like, well, it's balance, isn't it? I don't think you should let them win all the time.
No,
because I think they're not stupid. They'll know that you're letting them win.
Yeah, and then it stops being worth anything anyway, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, it becomes meaningless. But I also think you should, if you're not in with a chance, if there's no way you're going to win, why would you play something? I don't understand. Like, I wouldn't. If there's something I'm completely rubbish at, I really don't like to play it that much because it feels pointless.
Yeah, of course.
There's games I won't play with my son because it feels pointless.
Yeah.
Because he's just going to win. And he's just... and not just win either, but like win by like a massive amount. Do you know what I mean? And you just
you're never even close.
There's no point. He never lets me win. Like, but I wouldn't mind. Just let me win a bit. Let me think I might win.
At least give me a glimmer of hope.
A glimmer of hope. Yeah. But yeah, so I think you've got to, you've got to be in with a chance, haven't you?
Yeah, you have. Yeah, I think you're right about that.
It's quite funny though, because sometimes I've got games where you explain it. Like, have you played Geist Blitz?
No.
So Geist Blitz is a funny one because it's first person to grab the correct object, and that's like a ghost and a chair and a bottle and a mouse and a book. And it's just the first person. You turn over the card, first person to grab the right object wins the card.
Yeah.
Person with most cards wins. But the pictures on the card will show like a ghost and a chair. But you have to pick up the object that's not represented on the card.
Ooh.
So if there's a grey ghost and a blue chair, then it's not the grey thing, and it's not the ghost, and it's not the blue thing, and it's not the chair.
Right.
So it has to be the green bottle, which completely blows your mind when you first pick it up. You're like, that's too hard. But the really funny thing is children learn it really fast because they don't have those preconceptions that like, oh no, that's wrong, that's back to front, that's you know, they're just like, okay, I'll do that. But you get adults who are like, that'll be far too difficult for my children.
Oh,
and
really?
you're like, I don't think it will be. Just let's give it a go. And then the kids absolutely destroy them. And it's hilarious because they're like, oh.
So really what the meant was, it's going to be too difficult for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely.
That's lovely. I always ask guests 3 questions.
Mm-hmm.
The first one being, what do you think is great about the city of Leeds?
I love living in Leeds. I've not lived here very long, but I do love it. Partly for me that is just being in a city or near a city. I grew up in Ellesmere-Port, which is like easy travelling to Liverpool and Chester.
It's quite small.
Quite big. Yeah, it's quite a small town. But like I say, you could easily get into Liverpool, you could easily get into Chester. And I always feel like in a city there's more things to experience, more cultural stuff, just I don't know, more going on, more life. And then I moved to Home Firth, which is really pretty and really lovely, and there's loads of beautiful walks. And I was very happy there while I was there. But then when I moved to Leeds, I felt very much like, oh yeah, I like being near the city. And I think, some people love being near the city and some don't. And I think I'm one of those people that does love to be near the city, really.
Yeah.
I don't need to be in the centre of it, but I like to know that it's there, just up the road. And there's just always so much going on in Leeds. And doing what I do, I've met so many brilliant people and so many kind of people who are doing exciting, interesting things, and so many people who kind of are working to make life better for people, and just just a real nice kind of, I don't know, friendly vibe. I think
so.
Yeah.
And when I started doing the podcast, it was obviously because I already thought that Leeds is doing great things and people are doing fantastic things. But the more I've done it and the more guests I've met, I'm just blown away by the network of people all over the city who are doing amazing things and so many different varied things. There's just something, I just feel like there's something for everybody.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And people seem to genuinely care about other people, and it's just really lovely. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. And what would you say is something that is not so great about the city?
I think one of the things that's not so great that worries me about Leeds is the mental health record of Leeds and the issues. I think, and again, there are loads of people doing stuff to counter that, but I don't really understand why because it's worse in Leeds than it is in other places.
Really?
Isn't it?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like particularly men's mental health is much worse, and I don't know why that is, but I feel like that's something that's very worrying.
Yeah, I need to address it.
Yeah, definitely. And like I say, I know that there are groups like the Andy's Man Club.
Yeah.
They're doing fantastic things, aren't they? You
Yeah.
know, and there's lots of other places as well that are doing really good work
there are.
to combat it. But again, you see, I feel like that shouldn't all come down to volunteers, should it?
No.
It shouldn't be the responsibility, especially as well, it seems to be people who have suffered a loss or who have experienced poor mental health or difficulty with mental health, who are then supporting other people.
Yeah.
And it just feels like it shouldn't be down to them to support other people. There should be something external.
Yeah.
Like I have quite issues with mental health, like with anxiety and depression, and I've recently been having a bit of a tough time. So I went to the doctors and they suggested that I self-refer, which I hate anyway. I hate self-referring. It's really quite an unpleasant process, I find.
So just to explain, so when you say self-refer, they're expecting you to find somebody to help yourself?
No, they gave me a phone number for Leeds IAPT, and actually now you can do it online, which is a blessing, because the last time I did it I had to ring them, and you have to have a phone interview about your mental health.
And if you're already feeling anxious,
and
maybe that's not, you don't want to speak to a stranger.
You don't really want to speak to a stranger, and also because some of the questions are and I kind of understand why they're there, but the questions say, what steps are you taking to help yourself with your mental health?
Right.
But that almost feels like an accusation. When you're feeling a bit delicate and a bit kind of down, someone saying to you, so what are you doing about it? I'm immediately like, oh God, shall I lie and say I'm doing loads of things? because otherwise they might not help me. And then, but that's lying, and I really shouldn't lie.
Yeah.
So then I get into a complete spin about what to say and what is the right answer. So what do they want me to say?
Yeah.
And what should I say? Because I know what I should be doing to help myself.
Yeah.
But I can't.
Well, no, because
because I'm not well.
Yeah.
But then you just get in this complete spin, and you get trapped in it then, and it's horrible. But I kind of understand why the question is there, but it feels very unhelpful.
Yeah, at that point.
And you can feel a bit attacked, and I know it depends who you get as well on the phone, doesn't it, and what kind of a day they've had.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have a particularly great experience at the doctor's, because they said to me, they were like, she asked me like really unhelpful questions. So she asked me, first of all, did I have any friends?
Well,
It's like, I have got some friends, yeah, but they're not fully trained mental health experts.
no, of course not.
So that was weird.
And also sometimes maybe you don't want to tell other people how you're feeling. And what if you didn't have any friends? That would make you feel terrible.
Awkward. Well, afterwards I was saying to a friend, what I should have said is, I feel like we're getting on really well. I was going to be your friend. Like, get out of that one. But the joy of hindsight, innit? And then she said, she recommended that I get Headspace, the app.
That is not.
And I was like, I've actually got the app and yet still crazy. So, go figure. Like, yeah. And then eventually gave me the leaflet with the words, there's a massive waiting list.
Oh my
It's like,
God.
wow, I feel great.
Yeah,
now.
I'm
I feel
so
really
helpful.
top of the world.
Oh.
So yeah, so anyway, I've gone in a bit of a oversharing thing. But
No.
anyway, I've done it now. So yeah, so I feel like the system is flawed, which is what I was going back to my original point, because you know the responsibility ends upon you somehow.
At a
You
time
know.
when you're the most vulnerable,
Yeah,
and you really just you're unable to support yourself, which is
Exactly,
why you're feeling
yeah.
that way.
you almost need someone to kind of sweep in and go, right, no problem, let's get you sorted, and ask you questions in a kind of non-accusatory way, you know.
Do you think that's because? I mean, I suppose a lot of it is to do with lack of funding, but also sort of lack of sort of joined up thinking, or like having like a wholesale approach to how you treat people.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I don't have the answers. I just wonder, and I think we just need to be asking the question, don't we, about how we can support people better, and you know, yeah, as a society and as professionals, how they can perhaps.
Especially because I think it's so in the public consciousness at the moment, and I had a guy a couple of episodes ago who's a great guy, Anthony, and he's going across America to raise awareness of mental health.
Oh, wow.
And then last week, it's not been released yet, but I had Chris O'Connor, who has a podcast about, it's called Mentality, about male mental health.
Yeah.
And it just feels like it's such a huge thing in so many people's lives.
Yeah.
I think we're all realising that it's almost like it's not a minority of people who suffer mental health stress.
I don't think it is.
I think
it?
it's like it almost seems like it's what comes on part and parcel with modern day life.
Yeah, definitely.
And so if we're all accepting that more and more of us, it affects more and more of us.
Yeah.
Then it feels like the world needs to catch up, or the systems need to catch up.
I mean, it's definitely a lot better than it was, and people are a lot more open about it, which I think definitely helps.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, people have more understanding of it. You do still come across people who don't really get it, but that does feel like that's less common.
It does.
But yeah, it's a worry. It's a definite worry. Yeah.
Yeah, I just hope that we can, all the people who are doing things little pockets by themselves, hopefully that sort of goodwill and good technique will eventually get to the people who are supposed to be at the front line.
Definitely. Yeah. Hopefully.
And so I also ask people as well, even if somebody had been a long-term resident of Leeds, could you tell them about something that you think is a hidden gem that they might never have heard of?
Well, I thought about this and I was thinking it's hard to pick one place, and because I work with so many like places and some of them are a bit like unusual, or like say Butler's Cafe that's downstairs at Kirkstall Forge. a few people who I told about the board games event there were like, I didn't know there was a cafe there.
No, I didn't know.
And I was like, yeah, there's a cafe, and it's a really nice cafe. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's really good. But then equally, you know, I'll say to people that I'm at Hyde Park Book Club, and they're like, oh, I've not been there yet. And it's on their radar, but they haven't got there yet.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think, you know, there's so many cool places in Leeds where you can go, and
And they hold so many different events, different types of things.
so many different things. Like at Hyde Park have all the music on and stuff, really cool. And also they always have like odd, quirky little events on.
Yeah.
I remember I went one time, there was an orchestra on, and another time I went and there was a lady doing some art thing where there was plaster feet.
Yeah.
With maps on the sole of the foot, which was really interesting. So really like eclectic mix of stuff. And then like the King's Arms in Horsforth does loads of community-based events. She does absolutely loads. She's done loads of food bank stuff.
Oh, brilliant.
Raising money. They're really good like community pub, you know. So yeah, it's just a real mixture of places. Yeah, and I go to Keepers a lot, which is the one that I mentioned that's linked to the autism charity. Partly because it's convenient, because it's close to my son's school, but mainly because it's just really nice in there, and you feel like, you know, if I buy a cup of tea or whatever, at least a bit of money is going towards the charity, or, you know, so it's a good cause. But yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult one to pick one place.
Yeah, because there's just so much, isn't there?
Yeah, well, and like there's the new gin bar that's open. It's like so it's a gin bar upstairs, but it's mainly a gin school where you can go and distill your own bottle of gin, which is amazing. And I've got a board games night there coming up.
Oh, that sounds great.
I know, it's going to be fab. So they do all their own gin, and they do a botanical vodka as well, which is really nice. It's called Houten's on, is it Eastgate? Maybe it's Eastgate. But it's Houten's gin school and distillery anyway.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
That but
and
yeah, so many hidden gems, aren't there, in Leeds?
Yeah, there are a lot. There are a lot.
Yeah.
So I always include a track at the end by a Leeds-based band or musician.
Yeah.
And this week you supplied, well, you didn't make it, but you supplied the band and the track. So we've got, it's going to be, the band's called Van Houten?
Van Houten.
And the song is called Nice People. Can you tell me why you chose that?
I chose it because at Hyde Park Book Club, there's some people produce a magazine. It's called Nice People.
Oh, right.
It's really lovely, and it's got loads of band stuff in, and loads of like what's on and stuff. And they did an album, like a compilation album of local bands. And because I'm always meaning to go and watch local bands, I always intend to go and watch bands generally. And I just think life gets in the way, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. So I thought, compilation album, that's got like everything on, so I can get in touch, kind of thing. And it's on vinyl, which is just gorgeous. I love vinyl. So I bought myself that, and that's the first track on one of the sides, and it's just a really lovely track. I really like it.
And just a great track, a great title, Nice People.
Yeah, it's a lovely track. Yeah, really good. And the album's really good as well. The Nice People compilation album is good. And I like all of the tracks on it actually, which is good going for a compilation. Usually there's one on there that you're like, oh,
I'll skip this one.
But actually it's all good. So but that's my favourite. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming along.
That's all right.
I'll make sure that I put all the information so that people can come and find out what you're doing and get themselves involved in board games.
Ace, yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
All right, thanks very much.
I really enjoyed listening to Anne Jones telling us all about her brilliant company, Cards or Die, and I will definitely be going along to one of her board game evenings because I happen to be quite competitive. Anne chose a track called Nice People by Van Houten that was part of a compilation of Leeds bands and musicians that was organised by the Hyde Park Book Club. Please listen to it and enjoy. 1, 2, Scooby-Doo!
Get up off your feet now, 'cause Mark, if you don't get up were a simple guy. So you mark yourself above everyone else, 'cause they don't think you'll try. Gotta fall in head over heels, and all you need's a new set of wheels. 'Cause man can keep you going on the track. Gotta fall in head over heels, and all you need's a new set of wheels. 'Cause man can keep you going on the track now. You think you're never gonna be the same, but Mom, you've only got them to blame. One day you feel as good as everyone else, so all you need is just a little bit of help, and that's normal. Gotta fall in head over heels, and all you need's a new set of